Good afternoon, GAC Health and Fitness family and friends of GAC Health and Fitness. Here it is again for another Think It Through Thursday with your coach, Doreen. I am here because we are trying to get our minds right during the season of Let This Mind Be in You that is also in Christ Jesus. So I'm here again with another Think It Through Thursday. It may not be Thursday where you are or Thursday when you're viewing this, but it's been Thursday somewhere. All right. So I hope that you enjoy this session that today we're going to be talking about as we focus. What are we focusing on? All right. So the title for today is Transform Your Life by Focusing on What Matters to Your Heart. And I have a question for you. What has been your focus? What has been taking up mental real estate in your mind? And what are you focusing on? Why are you focusing on that? How long have you been focusing on that? All right. So we're going to be talking about what we have been focusing on and how that impacts our life, how that impacts our health, and how that impacts our focus. All right. So the Bible states that as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. So this means that the thoughts that we have been thinking has made us who we are now. And the constant flow of our thoughts are making us who we will eventually become. Unfortunately, we don't have any idea how much energy we have been putting into our present day situations. We have not calculated that whatever we put our energies into the most will grow, especially the negative energy. Right? It's like that statement that Job said in Job 3 and 5 from the Amplified Version, that for the thing which I greatly fear comes upon me, and that which I am afraid has come upon me. So we have to understand that a lot of times the thoughts that we think, because we're constantly thinking them, that we are actually attracting those very things to us. So we have to be careful because we have to remember that we are energy, we are spirit, and whatever our spirit is the most, that is what is also going to attract it. All right. So understanding this is important because our thought stirs our desires and our emotions. And if we are not aware of what is happening, we will end up making decisions that will cause outcomes that we really don't want. All right. So let's talk about the negative thoughts for a moment. Right. There are studies out there stating that the average person is having about 6,200 thoughts a day. That's 6,200 thoughts a day. And out of those 6,200 thoughts, 95% of them are negative. So that means that only 5% of our thoughts are positive per day. To me, that is kind of dangerous. All right, so that means that we're thinking mostly negative things most of the time during the day, which means that unfortunately, we are then attracting negative things to our life because that is what we focus on, right? So that means that we may be experiencing problems in our lives from our own making, because that is what we're focusing on, right? The thoughts of sadness, depression, anger, resentment, unforgiveness, and loneliness, just to name a few, are the fuel of more of the same thing over and over. So again, if we are focusing on the negative, right, those negative things are affecting our emotions negatively, and therefore our emotions are then attracting and pulling toward us the very things that we're thinking on. So to me, this is really serious because how many of us really are taking the time to think about what we're thinking about? We're just going about our day and the thoughts come and go, and we're not really focusing always. Is that a positive thought? Is that a negative thought? A lot of times, because of the fact that they're saying that 95% of our thoughts are negative, that means it is a habit that we are doing automatically to the point where we're not even thinking about it. And this is really being seen as we are, engaging in the holiday season and about to end another year, where we are thinking more about what is wrong with our lives, right, than what is right with it. Right? I know I've been having some conversations with some people, and it's amazing that they're thinking about all the things that they didn't accomplish for the year. They're thinking about what they could have done, what they should have done, and how things are going and how things are not going right, but we're not really focusing on what went right. And that's one of the things that I try to do, like when I'm speaking with my clients, is like, okay, what are the wins for the week? We know already what has gone wrong, but what went right, right? Let's focus on what went right instead of what went wrong, right? So as we're running around, like we're decorating and so forth, buying gifts and attending social events, many of us are reflecting on what we don't have, right? And what we didn't accomplish, instead of focusing on the blessings of the Lord and all the things that God has done and all the things that he has accomplished. We are focusing on, unfortunately, too much, focusing on the things that didn't go right and focusing on the things that are left to be done, right? But we do have a choice. That's one of the things that I do want you to take away. One of your takeaways for today is that we have a choice, and it's going to take some work. And that is like one of those 4-letter words that we don't like. It's going to take some work, right? We don't have to just let these negative thoughts just flow in our minds and cause us to live in a negative stupor. We have been given authority and we have been given dominion over what we think. Just like with all things, we have to be really intentional about what we're doing and basically what we're thinking about, so that we have to be able to break the stronghold, like we talked about a couple of weeks ago, breaking the stronghold of these negative things that are going on in our lives. So in Philippians 4:8, the Voice version says, "Finally, brothers and sisters, fill your minds with beauty and truth. Meditate on whatever is honorable, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is good, whatever is virtuous and praiseworthy." So this means, right, that we have to take authority and dominion over what goes before our eyes and in our ears and what lands in our hearts, just like it says in Proverbs 4:23. In the Easy English Bible, it says, "Be very careful to keep your mind safe. The thoughts that you think make you the person that you are." So we're hearing this over and over as God is giving us tools and strategies on how to stay on top of our minds, on how that we can stay positive, is that we have to be mindful, thoughtful, intentional about what it is that we're thinking about. And we have to do our best to keep our minds safe by watching what's going before our eyes and in our ears, and even coming down into our hearts, because we know that out of the mouth the heart speaks. So what can we do? Right? So Proverbs 4:23-27 in the Message Bible says that keep vigilant watch over your heart. That's where life starts. Don't talk out of both sides of your mouth. Avoid careless banter, white lies, and gossip. Keep your eyes straight ahead. Ignore all sideshow distractions. Watch your step, and the road will stretch out smooth before you. Look neither right nor left. Leave evil in the dust. To me, especially now in the world that we're living in, where every time you turn on the TV, something is going wrong, right? It's kind of hard. It is a fight. That is the true warfare, about keeping our eyes and our minds safe, watching what goes before our eyes and in our ears, which means that it really is going to take work. It really is going to have to be truly intentional, right? So there is a positivity principle, right, that says what you focus on grows, states that the topics or the subjects we choose to put our attention to or study are faithful, in the sense that they will not only determine what we learn as we focus on them, but they actually create it and grow it. So again, we become what we put our eyes on, right? We become what we give our attention to. So this is the warfare. This is the spiritual warfare, to stay on top of our minds. So when we are in this season right now of letting this mind be in you that is also in Christ Jesus, we have to look at what was Jesus focusing on. Jesus was focusing on the things of the Father. Jesus was focusing on the things of the kingdom. And he did the utmost of making sure that even his agenda, even his intentions and motives, was everything about the kingdom. It was everything about God and his assignment. He did not deal with foolishness. He did not allow himself to be pulled to the side by people's others' intentions and motives and agendas. He knew exactly what it is that he was here to do, and he was all about the Father's business. So that is our goal, and that is our focus as well, to make sure that we are staying focused on what we are supposed to be doing while we are here on the earth. Excuse me. Right? So I believe that this is to be so true. about the positivity principle, that as we remember, right, that we have been created in the image of God, he has also given us the ability to create our worlds through our words. Like in Proverbs 18:21, the Easy English Bible says, words have the power to bring life or death. So be careful if you talk a lot. So we know that a person who's talking a lot, they are just blurting stuff out. And a lot of times they're not even aware of what they're saying. They're just talking and not realizing that they are creating and pulling in things that they're talking about. Like he said in the message part, it's like, stay away and avoid careless banter, white lies, gossip, all of those negative things, that has been basically created, and its intention is to be negative. Right? So we have to do our best to stay away, walk away from, and shield ourselves from those very things. And Lord knows they are very tempting, because, sin has pleasure, as it says, right? So those things are like, oh, what's next? Oh, we don't want to be missing out. We get that FOMO thing, is fear of missing out. It's like, no, sometimes we don't need to know. I'd rather not know. Don't tell me. Please don't tell me. I don't want to know, so that we can guard our hearts and we can guard our minds. So Mark 11:23 in the Easy English Bible says, I tell you this, a person could say to this mountain, move and throw yourself into the sea. Then it will happen like he says, but he must not let other ideas come into his mind. He must really believe that those things will happen. If he does believe it, God will do those things for him. So in the positive, Jesus was basically saying that, having the faith of a mustard seed, our faith. But in this, we have to remember that if we are trying to keep our mind free from negativity and making sure that what we are focusing on is the right things, that we have to remember that we have to really fight to keep and guard our minds and not let other things intrude on our mental real estate. So we have to understand and remember that because we are spiritual beings and we are created in the image of God, that our words also have power. So if everything is started by a thought, and then everything is starting to stir up certain emotions, and those emotions are making us feel things, then those negative emotions are going to make us say things. So we have to believe, like he said, that if we believe what we are saying, right, is going to come to pass. And there was one, I believe there was a pastor, I can't remember who it was a sermon. It's like, can you imagine that if we were really like God, right, and everything he says came to pass? Can you imagine what our life would really look like? If you said, well, I wish you dropped dead, and the person dropped dead right in front of you. It's like, oh, you're killing me with laughter, and you actually die of laughter. We have no idea how important our words are, and we take it for granted. So for him to say that, but he must not let these other ideas come into his mind, right? Because in the beginning he says, then it will happen like he says. And it's like, so, but again, we may not be at the level of Jesus, the level of God, where we're saying something and it automatically happens. But think about it. If we're saying it over and over and over again, eventually we're going to see what we say. Right. So we have to be careful. And that's the company say, oh, you're making me sick. No, I'm not making you sick. I'm making you alive. I'm making you happy. I'm making you joyful. Oh, girl, you're getting on my last nerve. No, I'm getting on your good nerve. I'm giving you good nerves. Okay. I'm peaceful around you. So we think that it's funny. It's like, oh, you're going too far. I'm not too sure about how far we're going with that. We may not be going far enough because, like he says, we don't understand. We don't really believe that what we're saying is going to happen. So we just say it nonchalantly, right? But God is saying that we have to really be careful about what we're saying. So again, here I am talking to you about what we are focusing on and how that is going to really like impair, our lives, or how it's going to improve our lives, right? And transforming your life by focusing on what matters to your heart. Our hearts, we have to think about what we're saying and what we're doing and what we're focusing on is happening to our hearts, our health, right? So how can we transform our health? Through our focus. How can we transform our health through our focus? How? By focusing on what matters to our hearts, right? We have to focus on what really matters. And so here are a few things that I found that will be able to help us do that. So here's how we can change our focus on as it pertains to our health. So Number one is that we need to be consistent, right? So again, just like I said, the things that we keep saying over and over, not realizing that we're saying negative things or doing negative things or practicing negative things, negative health things, like for our bodies, we don't realize that those things being done over and over again negatively can impact. But could you imagine if we were consistent on doing those things that are good for your body, drinking your water, getting your sleep, eating enough fruits and vegetables, staying away from the junk food, that if we do those things over and over again, how that is going to positively impact. So staying consistent, so staying focused helps us to maintain consistent healthy habits like regular exercise and mindful eating. So without focus, it's easy to fall back into old patterns, right? So we have to stay consistent, right, in what matters to our heart health. Okay, so number two is setting goals. We have to set a goal, because without a goal, we don't know whether we have arrived or not. So focusing allows us to set clear and achievable goals, whether it's tracking calories, hitting the gym, meal prepping. Being focused helps us to keep our eyes on the prize. So whether it's to lose weight, whether it's to get into a dress size, whether it's to get off medication, whether it's to eat healthily more consistently, keeping our eyes on the goal, placing it before our eyes every single day is going to help us to set our eyes on the prize. So setting clear and achievable weight loss goals with a focused approach, right, can provide direction and a sense of accomplishment as you progress. So we have to be consistent, that we have to set goals. The next thing is that we have to find what motivates us. And that is different for everyone. What motivates me may motivate you. So you have to find what motivates you and keep your mind focused on that motivation, right? So when you're laser focused on your goal, every small success fuels your drive to keep going. So that's success. Say, okay, I got to the gym today and I did my 30 minutes. I feel really good. You're going to get up again tomorrow. The motivation of you feeling good the day before is going to now keep you moving forward for that. It's like, oh, wow, I stayed within my calorie goal. I ate my level of vegetables and my fruit. I drank my water. You being successful by you focusing on that goal the first time is going to motivate you to keep doing it again and again. So a focused mindset and adherence helps you to stay motivated and committed to your weight loss plan or health plan or whatever your goal is, even when facing challenges or setbacks. So you have to keep that motivation in front of you, because we know that once we start on our healthy journey, things start happening, because the enemy knows if I can just throw a wrench here, if I can get her discouraged or him discouraged there, that it's going to kill the motivation and it's going to get them to stop. They're not going to focus on the goals anymore. They're not going to be consistent. So I want you to see how it progressively pulls you back. So regardless of what happens, you have to keep yourself focused and being consistent, right? Consistent and keeping your eyes on your goals, and then figure out what's motivating you. What's the end game? What do you want to do? What's the goal? What's the prize? What's going to help you keep getting up every day and doing it over and over again? Now, number 4 is what we've been talking about, all of the negativity. You have to avoid distractions and avoid the naysayers. Find people that's going to be around you, that's going to support you, all right, that what you want to do for yourself, and that's going to support your goals, and not gonna be like, oh girl, you don't need to do that. Oh, you can do it one more time. It's going to be okay. You just go back to the gym tomorrow, or you just go back to your eating plan. It's like, no. You need to not go out to eat with those people, right? You need to not hang around. So you know what? I'll be back. Okay, I got this goal. Once I reach it, I'll call you, right? Those distractions. Okay, as soon as we're in this holiday season, and even though we are really it's the holiday season, I'm just gonna let myself go. Don't do that, because it's gonna be harder for you to get back on the trail of your health and fitness if you are letting yourself go now because it's the holidays. I'm just gonna treat myself. I'm just letting you know, I'm warning you right now, that is not going to be a good idea. So you have to stay away from the distractions. I know it's hard. We got the holiday parties now. Everybody's bringing cakes and cookies and pies and candies. They're all over the place. But if you keep being consistent every single day, if you keep your eyes set on your goals and you keep being motivated about what it is that you want to do, the distractions are not going to become distractions, and your naysayers are not going to be able to sway you to go the other way. So we know, we just said it, that there are many distractions and temptations that can derail your progress, right? But staying focused, keeping your eyes on the goal, helps you resist these temptations and keep you on track. So with that said, it's also important to be kind to yourself and to recognize that progress isn't always linear. All right, so we have to be able to sway back and forth, and I call it flowing with Holy Spirit. It's like, okay, he's pulling me this way, he's pulling me that way. Okay, we're going straight. Okay, we're going to rest. We're going to pull back. All right, so you have to balance your focus with a bit of flexibility, because everything is not going to go the way that you want to go. Right? So don't speak negatively over yourself because those things went wrong. All right. Just say, okay, it didn't work out the way I planned. Okay, that's fine. Okay, let me stay on my road of consistency. Let me keep my eyes on my goal. Let me remember what's motivating me. Okay, I'm not going to let this distraction or this, breaking up the plan to cause me to stop going in the right direction. You have to give yourself the same grace that God is giving to you every single day, right? If you fell off and got distracted, I want you to brush yourself off and get up and begin again. There's nothing wrong with getting up and doing it again. There's nothing wrong with getting up and starting where you left off. You have to remember, we all have to remember that this is a journey, right? And we're not going to get there in a day. It's not going to happen in a day. We would love for it to be end suddenly and we are a size 6. Nope, it's not going to happen. We're going to have to get up and we're going to have to do it again, and we're going to have to brush ourselves off and keep it moving. So number 5, we have to make clear and decisive decisions by staying away from impulses. Impulsiveness, OMG. I don't know how I can basically describe this. It's like, oh, we see it there and then we want it and we take it. That's an impulsive. We know how the impulsive buys go, right? We regret them the next day. It's like, oh my God, what was I thinking? I spent this much money. Why? Because it was impulsive. It was impulsive. When we're focused on our weight loss journey, our health and fitness journey, right, we are more likely to make healthier choices regarding food portions and activity levels rather than giving into impulsive eating or inactivity. So we wake up, right, we go to like the office party or whatever, and they laid out whatever, instead of stepping back and remembering being consistent. It's like, okay, we're consistent, even though they got these treats right there in front of me. I know what I'm supposed to be heading for. We're going to be consistent because we're going to remember our goals. We're going to remember that we have a motivation, right, that's going to keep us moving. We're going to avoid that distraction, right, because if we don't, we're going to get impulsive. We're not going to be with the naysayers. Oh, just one is not going to hurt you. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, because that impulsiveness, that one thing, we know it's like a Lay's potato chip. You can't just eat just one. The Pringles potato chips, you can't eat one. That cake, that cookie is not designed to eat one. It's like you eat one, you're going to want more. So don't do it. Don't do it. Stay away from the impulsiveness, right? So number 6, it goes along with number 5, focus on mindful eating. Right? Paying attention to your hunger cues and eating slowly can prevent overeating and promote healthier eating habits. Now, again, with the mindful eating, sometimes we think that we're hungry and we're not hungry. More likely, we're thirsty. More likely, we're bored. More likely, it's a habit. More likely, we're falling into our emotions, right? We're forgetting what hunger really feels like, because, again, we're in a country that has food everywhere. Whether it's good food, healthy food, or what have you, there is no lack of food. right? So we just eat to eat. We're in front of the TV and we got a whole bag of chips or a bowl of whatever, and we look up, by the time the second or third commercial is there, it is gone because we're just eating mindlessly. So we have to eat mindfully. We have to be mindful. All right, so let this mind be in us that is also in Christ Jesus. Jesus didn't do anything impulsively, right? He was also always mindful of what he was doing or where he was going and how he was going to do it. And we have to do the same thing. So number 7, which I think focuses on number 5 about staying away from impulsiveness and staying away from, mindless eating, is realizing what is stressing you out. Because a lot of times we are eating or doing unhealthy things because we are stressed, right? So focusing on managing stress or figuring out what is stressing you is going to help you make sure that you're staying consistent, staying on your goals, what's motivating you, staying away from the distractions and the naysayers. It's being unclear of what is stressing you, what is triggering you, is going to help you stay on top of making decisive decisions, and staying away from impulsiveness is going to make sure that you are mindfully eating and you're not eating when you're not hungry. You're not eating because you're hungry for company. You're not eating because you're stressed out. You're not eating because you're sad. You're not eating because you're tired. You are mindfully eating. You're going to be aware of what you are really hungry for. All right. So focusing on what is stressing us, right, which can often lead to unhealthy eating behaviors. We don't have to tolerate the chronic stress. Once we realize what is triggering us, right, we have the power and the authority to then figure out how to get that stress out of our life. So we don't want to just bask in the stress. We don't want to just tolerate the stress or just manage it, right? Especially if it's chronic. We want to make sure that we are exiting out of it and that it is exiting from us, right? So those are the 7 things I believe that is going to help us to stay focused on a healthy mindset during this time, that's going to transform our focusing from what matters to our hearts. And I want us to have a strong heart. I want us to have a healthy heart, right? So I'm praying that this information that I provided for you today will give you some what needed focus for your health journey. And I would love to know what you need to do to develop a plan or a strategy especially during this holiday season, right? So if you haven't already looked at it, I truly invite you to check out my masterclass that I did a couple of weeks ago, where I spoke on how I created a balance for health and fitness lifestyle stress-free. So I'm going to put that link in the bottom below so that you can click on it. And those are some things of how I kind of mapped out my life, or the techniques and strategies and tools that I use to help me to stay focused, right? It might be a little extreme for some, and some that might be exactly what you need. Take what you need, like they say, eat the meat, which we don't eat meat, okay? We eat what we need, and then we spit out the rest, right? So I shared my thoughts and techniques in there about what I developed during the years of me trying to find a really good pattern and focus for my health journey, right? And it worked so far, and I'm still doing it even to this day. So again, I also invite you that if you realize that you need more help getting focused on your weight loss journey, I invite you to connect with me with a direct message below, or reach out, and then I will be able to talk to you then. So until the next time, I hope that this really helped you. All right, leave a comment below. I would love to know what you're focusing on, how you're fighting the negativity in your own life. All right. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here, taking the time out to listen to this and watch this video. And until the next time, Coach Doreen signing off. Have a great one. Bye-bye.